I think, yes, works. Good evening, everyone. So lovely to have you. This is a nice, compact session. So I think we should really make it like a little roundtable conference. Love to have everybody's input in a little bit. We're here today to talk about the Oceans Are Us Ocean Literacy Program, initiated by the Jane Goodall Institute, India. I'm very, very pleased to have here to speakers on our panel, Shweta Khare Nayak, Executive Director of the Jane Goodall Institute, India, Shim Matthew, Director, Academic Operations and International Partnerships at Vibgyor Group of Schools, Rushikesh Chauhan of the Habitats Trust. Catherine Wallace will be online in just a little bit. She is the Education and Communication Manager at I Am Water Foundation. And we have Ivona Jin, Head of European Projects at Nausicaa. Let's give them a big hand. I live in a city by the sea, Mumbai, but I never really paid attention to the ocean until I started this learning about the Oceans Are Us program. And I realized how much the ocean influenced every aspect of our lives. And so I was so happy to meet Shweta, who told us that we would be putting together a pilot project on the Oceans Are Us. And I'm going to hand this over for her to take us on a journey into the deep. Over to you, Shweta.
Thank you, Lumana. I welcome you all here on behalf of the Jane Goodall Institute, India. And we are here to take you on a journey into the ocean together with us. That is Jane Goodall Institute Roots and Shoots program. Most of you here know me already. And those who don't know me, I work with Jane Goodall Institute. And I started working with Jane while I was in Tanzania. Our institute works mainly in the primate conservation, but we have a very engaging action-oriented youth program, which is called Roots and Shoots, which engages young people of all ages into action projects in 3 thematic areas: people, animal, and environment. So here we go on a journey. Can we play the slides? Next.
In 1960, a young British woman ventured into the forests of Africa to follow her childhood dream, to find a way to watch free wild animals living their own undisturbed lives. She left everything familiar behind and ended up giving the world a remarkable window into our closest living relatives. She was me. I wanted to come as close to understanding animals as I possibly could. We are continuing our research at Gombe. It's the longest running study of any non-human animal. And we're using some exciting new technology to learn more about chimpanzee ranging patterns and the state of the forest. And this helps to inform decision makers on action to be taken to protect chimpanzees, their habitats, and the other creatures that live there. I flew in a small plane over Gombe National Park, and I was absolutely horrified at what I saw. So quickly, it seemed, the environment outside the national park had been utterly destroyed. The trees had gone. The land was over-farmed and infertile. They were struggling to survive. And that's when I realized that unless we helped the people to improve their lives, there was no way we could even try to save the precious chimpanzees. This was when we started Take Care, or Tukari, our community-centered conservation project. Everywhere I went, I met young people who seemed to have lost hope. They all said more or less the same thing. We feel like this because we think you've compromised our future. And so that led into our program for youth, Roots and Shoots. The main message of Roots and Shoots is that every one of us makes a difference every single day. The program has now become a movement that's in 100 countries around the world. One of the things that the Jane Goodall Institute does that I feel is really most important is to try and give people hope, to help people understand that every single day we live, we can make a difference. And together, with everybody making a difference, we can change the world.
I fully believe in this vision that each one of us makes a difference every single day. And I'm so delighted that I'm here back in India, bringing Jane's passion and compassion to my country and working towards sustainability and environmental programs. Today, I'm here to share our work, which is introducing new program for ocean literacy. And I believe this is a need of this hour, because there's something happened personally with me when I just moved back from Tanzania to Pondicherry, which is on the east coast of India. That has moved me to an extent that it led to this particular program, which we have, Oceans Are Us. So before I begin that story with you, I want you to watch these couple of videos, and then I will share my story. So you see these three images here in a form of video. In one image, there is a lot of pollutant going from our human city, that is Pondicherry, to the ocean. And second is a marine species, a sea turtle lying there dead. And the third one is a young boy, that is my son, picking up the trash. So what has moved me is that my son comes to me when he picked up the trash and he asked me, where do I put this? And when we start looking for the dustbin, we couldn't find even one single dustbin. And then my son asked me, why don't you do something, mother? And as a mother, I had to really do something. I started doing some research about ocean awareness program, and I find literally nothing in our country. But what I found is that this is our blue planet, and what we have is a lot of pollution in our ocean. Most of you know about the data, you know about how plastic affects us. It is, of course, very useful, but the effect of plastic pollution in our ocean is quite an alarming. We have major threat to marine species through microplastics. Then we have river pollution in the country. We have all these major rivers which goes to the ocean, adding more to the pollutants. We have overfishing. So we as an adult, we know all of this, but do our children, they know that what is happening to our ocean? So to know this, we decided to go on a survey. We asked the questions. Participants were students, school, teachers, their parents, their guardians. People, they came up with the answer that they know about plastic pollution, ocean pollution, but there were many who didn't know anything about ocean pollution. Now, what we are trying to do here is to bridge the gap between young people and ocean literacy. Why ocean literacy is necessary? Well, we believe that an ocean literate person will understand how our activities negatively affect our ocean and will be able to shift their way of thinking, mindset, and action towards sustainable habits and solutions. We believe that ocean literacy is an urgent necessity, so we developed Oceans Are Us pilot program for the year 2022-23 in collaboration with the Habitat Trust. So the theme of this conference today is collaboration, and we are happy to share that we have amazing collaborators in Habitat Trust, and then we have 12 schools in 4 cities in India: Mumbai, Mandavi, Ayodhya, and Varanasi, to do this pilot project. What is our goal with this? To empower young people with the correct knowledge and help them develop a lifelong connection to our natural environment and the magnificence of the ocean, and generate a willingness to protect it through action. Our approach is to understand our community, to create an emotional connection with the ocean, develop an intellectual curiosity about the ocean, apply the roots and shoots sustainable model and approach to identify and solving issues. So how do we create effective engagement? We did this through our teacher consultation workshop. We did pilot program of consultation in Mumbai and in Ayodhya. Our approach was to conduct these workshops. We had 3 major areas which we looked upon: understanding level of ocean awareness, active participation of teachers in sharing their ideas about ocean literacy. We engaged teachers and mentors to learn about the severity of human impact on our ocean. To create the emotional connect with the teachers, we also took them on the river bank of Saryu in Ayodhya, and we did some exercises with them. We had amazing result. They came up with their experience, and we managed to get them dive deep into the ocean and come up with their feelings, what they feel about ocean. We also did many interactive activities, that how far they live for the ocean, even though they were in Ayodhya and Varanasi, but how it affected them personally, even though they live so far from the ocean. Then we went into the scientific method. We had our marine scientist who did some activities based on the science. We also did a student workshop with the students. You see, they are going into the virtual reality world, looking at ocean world, planktons and others. And then we did some interactive exercises with them, and they really felt inspired by the whole activity. We also asked our participants to write letters to the ocean, which are also on the display at our booth. You can go and check them. So here, we want all of you to open your heart and let the ocean in. Thank you.
Thank you, Shweta. I'm so proud to be part of this program. And before we go to the next speaker, I'm going to take the liberty of taking you all down into the ocean. Katie, do you mind coming here and giving us a deep dive into the ocean?
You want? Hello, friends. Like Lubaina, I also live in a coastal city of Mumbai. And I have always been very, very fascinated with the ocean. Although I didn't know the ocean could hold so much of magnificent life until I joined the Roots and Shoots program of Oceans Are Us, and then began a lot of research and a lot of activity. But anyhow, I would like you to share our passion with the oceans. So let us just empty our minds of any other thoughts. And maybe you have never been near the ocean, or you have never lived near the ocean, but just imagine you're standing in front of the vast expanse of the ocean. And you see the waves coming towards you. So close your eyes and take a deep breath. Keep your eyes closed and inhale and exhale. And you can hear the waves coming towards you. You can hear the waves receding back and forth, back and forth. There's a rhythm to it, a rhythm which corresponds to the pulse of the ocean, maybe. And you love the sound of those waves. The waves come around your feet, your toes sink into the sand, you feel the cool breeze coming towards you. And you can actually taste the ocean on your lips, the saltiness. And you want to go further. You want to go into the ocean. So let us venture, let us dive into the ocean. And what do you see? Amazing life all around you. All kinds of marine creatures, turtles, fishes. You go a little further, you see the most beautiful, colorful gardens in the sea, the coral reefs. And in and out of the labyrinths and passageways of the coral reefs, you see amazing fish swimming in and out. The coral reefs themselves are so colorful. The fish around them are also equally colorful. And you wonder, I mean, you just wonder, you're filled with awe looking at all this. You go further, you see turtles swimming. You see so much harmony. There are lots and lots of marine creatures. They are part of a very important web of life. There are predators searching for prey, but there's no greed. There's a lot of harmony, and all of those creatures are just minding their own business. And you want to go deeper. You go deeper and deeper into the ocean. So the sunlight dims because it can't penetrate further into the water. And you feel the ocean hugging you tight. You feel the pressure of the water. You feel colder. You feel numb, but you feel delighted. You want to go further. It's like you're on a high and you want to go deeper and deeper. It becomes, at a point, it becomes pitch dark. There's no glimmer of light at all, but suddenly you see a lot of twinkling lights, flashes of lights going by. That is the light of the marine creatures, the fishes, the bioluminescence. You almost feel as though the night sky has fallen into the ocean, and you're amazed by the beauty, by the bizarreness of the creatures. Some of them have huge mouths with long curving teeth. Some of them are walking on the ocean bed instead of swimming. And there are all kinds of creatures. After you've had your fill, you want to come up again. So up you surface. And finally, you come back into the broad daylight, sunlight. But then you've come back with a feeling in your heart. You realize how calming the ocean is, how, it has sort of cast a spell on you. And you just want to mull that spell of being in the ocean. So I hope you enjoy this journey. Thank you.
Okay, open your eyes, everybody. Probably the wrong time to do this, huh? Post-afternoon, everybody's hopefully had some tea, and but I hope that you dive down and you let all your barriers down and opened your heart and let the ocean in. Okay. So this is one of the ways in which we got teachers who live far away from the coast to try and imagine how amazing the ocean will be. And talking about teachers and talking about schools, I would like to introduce Shim Matthews of the Vibgyor group of schools, passionately interested in making the new generation aware of environmental activities and the things that they can do. And we're so happy to have you, Shim. Please address our audience and share with us how ocean literacy is important in the curriculum. So you probably need to switch on the mic, maybe?
Switched on.
Yeah, it's on.
Hello. Thank you. So thank you, Lubaina. And just like the previous speaker who took us into the ocean and out, Ms. Katie, I'm also from the coastal city of Mumbai. So when you asked me the question, how do we sustain this very program of sustainability sustainability in education, telling them about oceans and the importance of oceans? I was just thinking, Katie, nobody would ever understand an ocean unless they've seen one. To imagine is different, but to have someone from the inland go out to the beach and then suddenly see the vast expanse of the ocean is unimaginable. That person cannot for some time breathe because no one can ever see such a vast expanse of water. So if no one has been there, you won't know, you won't never know what an ocean is. The question that's put to me was to how is it that we can take this love for the ocean forward? Number one, it is, I think there were two things that got spoken about by Shweta. One was the emotional connect that you bring to the ocean. And second is also understanding what are the resources available in the ocean, which we can use in a very balanced manner, right? See, take it for granted. Human beings are never going to not use what's available in the sea. We will always do that. But how far do we exploit it for our own benefit is a different story. And unfortunately, the second part of what I spoke is what continues. Is there a way, because we've been hearing from the morning in the plenary session about sustainability, sustainable development, sustainability in education, environmental consciousness, environmental education. For one, I know that when I was a student and you had something called a moral science or a value science as a subject, and some part of it was always to do with environment, and we paid no attention to it. We paid no heed to it. And what was the reason? Number one, I don't think my teachers were able to explain that to me in that manner. So if there is anything that you can do to scale up, to let the world know, I think the most important people would be the students in our schools. It's only education that can transform, and only education has to be transformative. Otherwise, it's no education at all. It's like what we did during our value education classes or moral science classes. The book was there, just threw away and you went away. No one spoke about it. No one did anything about it. So an emotional connect can be done through the students. And when I say that, we have a group school called the Vibgyor Group across the country, and I connected with Shweta when she returned from Africa, and she spoke about the Roots and Shoots program. So first we became part of the Roots and Shoots, the Jane Goodall Roots and Shoots program. We launched that across all our 40 schools across the country. And if there are 50,000 students talking about Roots and Shoots, you can talk about at least 25 to 30,000 families in this country and their people who connected to them and their cousins and their relatives talking about Roots and Shoots. So understand the scope. If you touch a student, you're touching hundreds of lives when you touch a student. So if there's any way we can bring that in, the only possibility for us to scale it up is to educate students. And I think all the students and young students here know that very well. The most impressionable age are the primary and the middle school ages of your lifetime. That's when you carry what you learned. It goes into your long-term memory and sits there until the time you lose your memory, maybe, right? So if you learn, if you hear about something at that time, it continues to impress and you evolve as a person who is impressed with those memories, understands them. So for us, it is, I mean, today when I look at the stats, across our schools, we have around 1,200 students, which of course is a small number. When you talk about 50 and 60,000, or in a country of 1.4 billion, what's 1,200 students? It's nothing. But if those 1,200 students continue to speak about oceans are us, start developing an emotional connect. Now for students who are there in Bangalore from our schools, they may not have seen the ocean. They would have, but they don't live near the ocean. But for students stay in Bombay, they can form that connect very well. Second part is for us to tell our students how not to exploit what we are so good at as human beings, exploiting everybody and everything that we find around us for our personal gains, because at the end of the day, the bottom line is the numbers, what counts, right? It could be business numbers, it could be economics. But if we're able to instill in our students the reason as to why it's important for them to know, and this I learned during one of my visits to Netherlands, which is a country that's made the ocean their friend. That's what I was told. I think the Great Northern Floods in 1953, if some of you would know, is what changed the perception of the Dutch to treating an ocean like their friend. And I was told in Middelburg, where we have a partner school, that the oceans have to be treated like a baby. You want to coexist, then you better start taking care of them. And that's when the dikes came, and that's when they started building that relationship. So if we are able to tell our students these real life stories, they lost some 2,300 people during the Great Northern Floods. But after that, the Dutch learned the story, and that is to live together with the ocean and take care of it. If we are able to take this as not just knowledge, but it's something that they could practice in their lives, and that's what we're trying to do, Lubaina. We're trying to see how we can enlarge the scope of students getting it as part of the curriculum. Right now, we are working on a curriculum that will help students, that would integrate the oceans are us philosophy and what we learn about marine life and the resources that are available in the oceans, so that even as they progress up, they would take their learning to the next level. It's a work in progress right now, because as you're aware, we have a lot of things to talk about environment. But if you're going to do a micro planning to it, you bring it down to what oceans are, then you got to start integrating that into the curriculum. So while all of us know that we have environmental science, social sciences, which talks about environment and science and social sciences and everything mixed together, there is a large, huge scope for us to get down to understanding the oceans better, because it goes without saying 70% of the place of the earth that we inherit, 70% of it is water. Water plays the largest role. You have no water, you have nothing left. You'll all be dry. So it's important for us to pay a lot more attention to not just the 30%, but to the 70% that sustains life. In fact, as one of the speakers spoke in the morning, that's where you start breathing better. It evaporates. We learn it in our school. It comes down in the form of water. We finally take it and we breathe it, or have it or consume it. But again, it goes back to the ocean. So we've done enough damage. I know there are 13,000 pieces of plastic material in every single square kilometer of of the ocean. And in fact, for the ones who consume fish, you'll know that actually you're having part of that when you're eating or having fish or anything that's got to do with marine life. So that's the strategy that we've adopted to try and integrate. It's a work in progress, as I said, but it would help scale up the understanding that the students of our schools, and not just students, obviously when students learn, parents learn as well. So that's the learning that comes in for all of us.
Thank you so much, Shim. I mean, it is so wonderful that when a school like Vibgyor takes the lead on something like this, it has credibility and it helps other schools to understand that there's value in this. Why I'm saying this is because my two daughters always think of EVS as the faltu substitute to math. If you don't want to take math for ICSE, you take EVS. And I think, gosh, EVS has become a compulsory for a reason, So that's a pity. And I'm so glad that the schools are taking lead on these things. So more power to you. I would like to introduce our next speaker, Rushikesh Chauhan of the Habitats Trust, a very valuable and passionate, I hope, supporter of the Oceans Are Us program. Rushikesh has been working with so many different habitats. Tell us why you think the ocean deserves your attention.
Very good afternoon to everybody. I was wondering if anybody would be interested in oceans to begin with, and people trickling in feels nice. I think it's in the name, right? Oceans Are Us. That's when Shweta kind of came up with me and said, would you like to support Oceans Are Us? And the natural reaction was yes, but then you had to think about it, right? And then when you think about Oceans Are Us, then first thing that came to my mind was science. It is science. The science, like he said, 71% of Earth's surface is water, 71% of our body is water. You can study chemistry there, you can study physics there, you can pick up any science subject and you can study it from the oceans. So Oceans Are Us. Oceans Are Us, as far as science was concerned, made sense. It's a philosophy. Oceans Are Us is a philosophy. And I think philosophies shape minds, and especially in students that you kind of, like he said, they're very impressionable. And once you start talking to them in that sense, in a philosophical sense, you can create bonds that will last for life. Some of the things that stay with us. Oceans Are Us also made a lot of sense because it's not just knowledge, right? I mean, Shweta showed some of the things and what Katie did to us. She didn't give us a long lecture on what the oceans are. Google everything these days and knowledge is there. What this program, I thought, does is it brings action in the whole sphere, where students actually are not just taught about what the oceans are. I mean, I can keep throwing numbers at you about oceans and stats and all of those things, but I think that it takes 2 minutes to forget, right? You go back, the next lecture is on Shakespeare literature, or it's on physics of subatomic particles. You'll forget. No wonder EVS being a compulsory subject, that's what happens, right? It's an easy substitute because you think you don't need maths. But Oceans Are Us has a different approach. It has an approach where you actually start doing projects with it, and it's not something that the parents are doing. Our submission date is around the corner, and the parents are sitting and the child is thinking, what am I doing? Or he's somewhere else, like the chimpanzees, maybe the teenage chimpanzees all over the place. And but here they are doing it themselves. What that allows is to imbibe the oceans in themselves. And then why Ayodhya? Ayodhya se kya lena dena hai oceans? Ayodhya is very far from the ocean, but why Ayodhya? Why these landlocked cities? I think what goes into the Ganga goes into the ocean. And oceans are not just about the ocean, right? The fresh water entering the oceans is as important to climate change mitigation as, carbon dioxide. And that is where students who are landlocked, it's very important for them to also understand. It's not just your schools in Bombay that need to understand this. There are schools in Gurgaon and there are schools in Bangalore who also need to understand this. And what's an effective way to take it to them? And I think the Oceans Are Us program made a lot of sense in that. So, and I can keep going on and on and on, but I've given a limited time. So I think I've summed up most of the thought processes that I had when I was thinking about Oceans Are Us. And it just made so much sense. It was in the corporate world, we look at what is called as the ROI, right? Return on investments. This was more than return on investment. It was not an investment for us. It was an investment for the society. It was investment for the next generation. It was society investment into the current problems. And there is no silver bullet. Will the Oceans for us program change the world all over? Maybe not. But will it be an important cog in the wheel? Yes. We do several other things at the Habitats Trust. We do research on oceans, we do action on oceans, we work with the communities, we work on terrestrial ecosystems, mountains, oceans, rivers, everything. Unless all these cogs are put in place and put into motion, nothing's going to really change. And I think that makes Oceans Are Us a very important wheel in this whole thing that we are trying to turn. And of course, the cherry on the cake was the name. The Jane Goodall Institute. Who doesn't love Jane Goodall? That brings a lot of credibility. That brings in a lot of respect, and more importantly, I think it brings in a lot of love. I mean, I'm sure you will hear Jane speak today. Also, I believe that we are showing some videos of her speaking now. Oh, I don't know, but I'm sure you guys can Google if we are not seeing them now. You'll hear her, and then you'll see that there is hope. There's a small window, and all of that is true, but it's doable. Young reporters like you would make a lot of difference, not just reporting about Oceans Are Us, but bringing out the essence of why we are doing this. And I think we are very proud to be associated with it, and I'm glad that Shweta didn't say that these are our funders. We are not just funders. We are collaborators. We are partners. And I think me and Shweta have been speaking a lot about things. I don't need to tell her how to design this program. They are pros at it. But just interacting makes a lot of difference to us and to them, I believe. And we're going to be there for a long time. And you'll hear a lot about Oceans Are Us. And I'm confident and you will feel that ocean is you and ocean is us. So I think that's why we funded Oceans Are Us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think the point of starting anything for us here with this Oceans Are Us, Rosha Shoots is really everything starts with love. So if you care about something, you build a relationship with something, you're going to take care of it. So that's what we try and do in our, Oceans Are Us program. And that's why we hope to be successful even with inland communities, because after all, I mean, it's one planet, all the systems work together. And what I chuck in Mumbai is at some point going to show up in the Pacific trash pile. So it matters, so yeah. Hopefully, we will kindle the love first. Everything else will follow. So what I would like to do now is to see if Shweta is ready with our next guest. Very happy to have with us Catherine Wallace, Education and Communication Manager at I Am Water Foundation from South Africa. Hi, Catherine, welcome.
Hi, can everyone hear me?
Hi,
I'm
Catherine.
very good. Hi.
Hi, we welcome you from ICSE for your presence today.
Thank you. It's such an honor to be here. I'm loving hearing everyone's passion. It's amazing.
We'd love to hear from you. Please go ahead.
Cool, perfect. Can everyone see the presentation?
Yes, it's on.
Cool. So, like as mentioned, I'm here from Cape Town, South Africa, and I'm going to be talking about a small organization here called I Am Water and how we use ocean literacy. My name is Catherine Wallace, and I'm the Education and Communications Manager at I Am Water. My job fills two different spheres. The education side of my job is creating and developing the content for our educational programs. And the communication side of my job is running our social media and being able to appear at amazing conferences like this and share all about I Am Water with everyone. Next slide, please. So I Am Water has been around for over 10 years now, and we work with youth from underserved coastal communities. We have a variety of ocean connection programs, and we work with grade 7 students on these programs. Our flagship, which I'll talk about most today, is our Ocean Guardians workshops. These are 2-day ocean education and immersion programs. Our next program is our River Guardians workshops. These workshops focus on highlighting the link between river health, ocean health, and human health. And our last program is our school speaking series, where we go to schools and deliver a physical presentation telling ocean stories and talking about the ecosystem services that the ocean provides, or the gifts that it gives us, and also discussing some challenges that the ocean faces, but coupling that with actionable solutions that we can all do to be a part of helping protect the ocean. Before I go on, I do want to show a video so you can get a bit more of an idea of what we do. Thank you.
I'm feeling excited and also scared at the same time.
I'm feeling a little bit nervous.
I'm feeling totally nervous today. I'm scared of the water.
I'm feeling very excited. I'm a little bit nervous. I'm looking forward to see different creatures and animals and sea.
I've never snorkeled before.
I Am Water's vision is to connect coastal communities to the ocean so they can fall in love with it and thus protect it.
On our Ocean Guardians workshops, we have grade 7 students from local schools come to the beach and learn about their oceans. The workshop consists of 2 days. The first day, the experiences are had at a beautiful local tidal pool. They can learn how to be in the water in a safe environment and understand their ecosystem and have a small adventure. On the second day, we bring them to one of our incredible pristine marine protected area beaches, where they actually get to snorkel a little bit deeper and see what lies in the kelp forest.
In the morning, we start with stretching and breathing, and this encourages mindfulness and gets them into their bodies and ready for the day.
Our class will then split into 3 groups. One group will go with one of the coaches to do a beach cleanup and a nature walk.
A lot of the children don't really know the importance of keeping the ocean clean. But once we go really into depth about how long it takes for certain things to break down, they get a better picture of why plastic or cigarette butts shouldn't be there.
In the nature walk, they get the opportunity to just marvel at how beautiful our coastline is.
I love penguins, teaching them something new about penguins, see new animals, and they're smiling every time. It just puts a smile on my face. So I love it. I really love the whole workshop.
In the rock pool exploration station, we take the kids on a little adventure through the rocky shores.
These Ocean Guardian workshops gives them that connection through human experience, touching the animals, allowing them to love it, and then also wanting to protect it afterwards.
The third group is the snorkel group. That's where the fun happens. putting a mask on for the first time, learning how to use a snorkel, to actually find the confidence of floating and looking down and understanding that the ocean is a welcoming and beautiful place. Right there, transformation happens. The snorkel group gets divided into 3, each with their own dedicated in-water coach that can keep them safe.
Safety comes first for the children. We are professional coaches and some of us are lifeguards, some of us are divers as well. We are good enough to be patient and actually to reassure them. So they ended up being comfortable in the water as well.
Today, when I arrived, I felt a little nervous. It was the first time for me to snorkel. The lady spent more time with me. Now I know how to float. I absolutely want to do it again.
These ocean conservation workshops are important to the kids in our community. Some of them don't really come out of good homes, some of them can't even swim. So to bring them out a little bit of their comfort zone gives them that confidence to show them that they can actually do anything that they want to do.
Our goal is that whoever was afraid, whoever had that fear, comes out with love and want to teach more people that everyone can overcome these fears.
Wrapping up our day, the children come together in a sharing circle, get the opportunity to reflect on what they've learned and also share what it is that this day has meant to them.
I've learned self-confidence today.
Here we go, congratulations, you're an Ocean Guardian. These certificates are going to be with you, and every time you look back on this, remember what your mission is and your promise is to the ocean.
The Ocean Guardian certificates gives them something solid that they can look at and remember their experience.
Kids leave here not wanting to go home because the experience has been so great. That's my favorite part.
We had a lovely time and we saw starfishes and the seaweed that came on your dinner gate bang. That I did love it. It was very nice. And thank you for everything.
There you have it. That's our flagship program, our Ocean Guardians workshops. It's a heart project. It's wonderful to see the kids.
I'm feeling totally nervous today. I'm scared of the water.
Good. So now that you have seen what that workshop entails, I'm going to talk a little bit about our approach to ocean literacy on these workshops. We have a few different elements to these workshops, but we like to lay a foundation of ocean literacy before jumping into all the fun. So we use ocean literacy presentations, which you can see in the picture on the bottom left, it should be of your screen. There's someone holding physical cards and presenting to the kids. We use these ocean literacy presentations to introduce participants to ocean topics such as the rocky shores ecosystem. We talk about the different animals that they might encounter. We tell them stories about these animals, and we make the ecosystem more tangible instead of just something that they maybe saw in a movie once. We'll make these animals and the ecosystem as a whole more real and tangible. And that is what we present on day 1. On day 2 of the workshops, we talk about our connection to the ocean and how humans are able to enjoy the ocean and be part of the ocean. And we talk about ecosystem services and ocean challenges, and most importantly, we think actionable solutions that everyone, even grade 7 children, can be a part of. Once we have laid that foundation with our ocean literacy presentations, we jump into the immersive component of our workshops. So like you saw in the video, we have our snorkel session where the kids get to open their eyes underwater. Most of the kids that come through our workshops, they are snorkeling for the first time, and it's quite a fearful experience, but all of them leave just buzzing with excitement. We also have our rock pool exploration and the beach cleanup. And throughout these 3 immersive stations, we have ocean literacy laced throughout. So our coaches will talk about, they'll share different ocean stories and keep solidifying and building on those foundations of ocean literacy whilst the kids are experiencing the ocean. We believe that by laying that foundation through our presentations and then building upon those ideas and solidifying them through immersive experiences, the participants will leave with a more holistic understanding of the importance of the ocean. Not just, we don't want, not necessarily that. We want to couple a very factual understanding of the ocean with a love for the ocean. So we give them the facts and the knowledge that they need, and then we jump in with some connection and real experiences that they can remember the ocean by. Why ocean literacy is important to our programs is what I'm going to talk about next. Our programs aim to connect participants to the ocean. We want them to see the ocean as something that they have a stake in. They are part of the ocean and the ocean can help them. And we want to foster a sense of ocean stewardship. We want to create a wave of new ocean conservationists for right now, but also for the future. By increasing the ocean literacy of our program's participants, we're empowering them to make decisions that will improve the health of the ocean. We are not telling them everything that they need to do. We are giving them little bits of information that they can build upon by themselves and feel empowered to look after the ocean. At the bottom line is that ocean health equals human health. We can't disconnect those two things. If we can educate young people to look after the ocean, we are helping them to look after themselves, and thus safeguarding the health of the ocean for generations to come. This slide is just if anyone wants to find out more information. It's my email address, our website, and some social media platforms.
Lovely. Thank you so much. There is nothing more magical in my eyes than when a child's eyes and minds opens up to new experiences. And I think you've done it so beautifully. Such a joy to see. Thank you so much for sharing it with us. Is Catherine going to be here through the? Okay, so we'll tap in again at the end of the session for question answers. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm delighted to have here with us. We don't have friends. Yeah. Ivona Jin, Head of European Projects for Nausicaa. I'm sure I got it right this time. Okay. Who has been working with ocean education for some time, particularly through aquariums and on coastal student groups. And we'd love you to share your experiences with us. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Lubaina. So first of all, I would like to thank you very much, you guys from Jane Goodall Foundation, to have me in this session and welcome me so warmly. Thank you. And well, before I start, because you all know us, but we don't know you, the public. So I have a question for you, and I would like to ask you this question and answer this question with the first idea that comes to your mind. So I will ask these questions, and I will please answer it with the first idea that comes to your mind and say it aloud, okay? So, and then I will ask you everyone to stand up and tell us what was your idea, okay? Ready? So if I say ocean, you say? Okay. Okay. Plankton, okay. Okay. Well, thank you very much. I asked this question because, this is the first idea that comes to your mind. So this is something that reveals a little bit your personal connection to the sea, your personal history with the ocean. So, yeah. And I think I believe that the connection to the ocean, we have already discussed it a lot. It goes through the emotions, and these emotions can be appealed to through 5 senses. So this is why it's important, all these activities in the field that appeal to these 5 senses. And I work for an aquarium and in the north of France, so we don't have the summertime. We just have 2 or 3 months of summertime. So for the public, for the general public and for the children, the only possibility to really touch the ocean is to come to an aquarium and to see things. And we also use their emotions and the senses. For example, we have a tank which is open, where kids and visitors can touch the rays and scales that are in the tank. They can just stroke them. So this is also to reveal some sort of sensibility with the public. And this is the only way to show them some animals and which in the waters that are cold. So this is the way also to some sort of develop the connectedness. Another way is there's this field experience, and then there's also another way of learning and teaching, because so far we have been in the paradigm that which was based on the knowledge deficit, which means that a scientist or an educator was expected to know everything and deliver this knowledge to the kids. Now the paradigm is changing, and we are no longer telling people what to do, but rather empowering everyone to come up with their best ideas and to be their best. So this is the approach, which is also based on collaboration and also by learning by doing, because only by doing things in the field, by doing some conservation actions or just observing animals, or this is how we learn as well in a way which is sustainable and stays. And there's also the role of community learning and traditions, because the subject of the ocean, it can be also linked not only just to the ocean marine science, but it can be actually traced in all kinds of disciplines. For example, in our history, the history of the nations, in every nation's history there are stories with the oceans, the geography, even chemistry. I wouldn't exaggerate if I say that in a drop of the ocean there's the whole Mendeleev table. So, in every discipline you can see the traces of the ocean. And actually, we work with the teachers, and we try to identify in different disciplines the moments where we can teach them different things from the ocean. And actually, our colleagues from Portugal, they have run through the whole school curriculum, and they have identified the different elements in each disciplines where they can talk and propose to the teachers where they can talk about the ocean subjects. So these are these different approaches that are emerging, and they, in addition to giving to teaching skills, environmental skills, they also develop other skills like observation, investigation, creative thinking, communication skills, interpersonal skills, and of course, teamwork and collaboration. So, so one of the examples is Find the Blue Challenge, which is quite similar to what you're doing with the foundation. It was developed in Europe by a network of European Blue schools, and each school, the teachers they propose to teachers the program, which is based on finding a challenge linked to the ocean, or a subject linked to the ocean with the class. And then they try to, once they have identified this ocean topic, it can be also a service that the ocean provides for our daily life. They develop a project around it, and they connect this project with the local partner, and then they communicate about this. And in the end, there should be a tangible product. It can be a service to local community, like a beach cleanup, or, for example, installation of trash bins on the beach or something like this. It can be also an arts and literature project, a film, a poem, or, for example, a glue made from shellfish. So this kind of activities that we encourage with this program. Another example, can I have the next slide, please? Is the Team for Ocean. It's actually, again, it's based on the same principle as to find the blue planet, but it's on a local level with local stakeholders. For example, the kids have in our place, there is this is a fishing port, our place, and we have many fish processing factories, and there is one that they process fish food. And then there is the waste from fish. And so it's very present, because sometimes the smell is very unpleasant. And this plant, they treat this waste for cosmetics and other byproducts. And actually the kids came up with the idea that they would produce the glue from the fish, from the waste. So they got in touch with the researchers to find out more about this process, and then with the businessmen to see what kind of local businesses, what can be done to produce actually the glue. So this is how it works. So this, yeah, can I have this next slide, please? So actually, yeah, one of the is learning by experience. This is why we organize many field trips with the activities outside the aquarium. There's also learning by doing, like with the Find the Blue Challenge, or marine educational areas, where actually the kids adopt and take the ownership of a coastal area, and they learn to manage it in a sustainable way. And my institution is providing the scientific assistance to these schools. And another way of learning is by playing, actually. So learning through games. And we also developing games such as escape game. I don't know whether it's very popular in Europe now, these escape games, where it's sort of treasure hunt, but you are in a place and you can't get out until you find the solutions with different tips and clues that you go from one place to another, like treasure hunt, and then finally you get the key to get out. So this is actually, they do this in our place in the aquarium and the keys, all this relates to nature-based solutions and how our actions impact even high seas, which are far away from us. So this is kind of different learning techniques that we're trying to implement and use, hoping that they also improve the ocean literacy in our public and in our kids. Can I have this next slide? And so in 2004, with the World Ocean Network, we have developed the passport of the citizen of the ocean. You were one of the authors, which actually it's a tool that proposes different activities, do's and not to do's, simple activities for anyone. There are two versions for adults and teenagers and the kids. I think it was in several languages, I think in 8 languages, and distributed in 35 countries. And actually what we did with this passport is that we used to give it to kids after an educational activity so that they could take out something and go home and just continue the whole process. So yeah, that would be most of it. Thank you very much. Thank you for your attention.
My goodness, that was so much fun. I want a passport, an ocean passport, you know. Well, however, the number one ocean literacy thing is that there are no boundaries in the ocean. The ocean is one. So the passport might not work there, but still I want one with little rubber stamps on it for completing activities. What a terrific idea. Thank you so much for that. And also I love the idea of what you were saying about, you know, you can't talk down to kids. It has to be a collaborative effort. I mean, you can't say that I'm a scientist, I know everything, this is the program you have to implement. But it doesn't work that way anymore, and I'm happy for that. So thanks very much for your insights and your really lovely practical solutions and tools. I think Shweta, we need to steal some of these, no? So yeah, well, I've gone and said it on stage. Okay, I'd like to open this up for question answers. Would you all like to ask the participants any questions? All of the panelists here, as well as Catherine, who's online with us. Would anybody like to ask any questions? Please, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Anup, and I'm interested to know how do each of you perhaps spend some time in going back and measuring how much of this sticks with the child? Or is there a way of knowing something that you employ to know how effectively the message has gone through and perhaps what it's resulting in? Is there anything that you do for something like that?
Very interesting question. I think it was Peter Drucker who said, what cannot be measured cannot be improved. Anything that we do will have to be measured. In fact, that was one question I was going to ask Shweta, because when we started off this series of workshops, when we launched Oceans Are Us and with your group of schools, one idea of moving into the next level of actually measuring it was also to incorporate that into sharing this, I would not call knowledge, but information through whatever we do. And maybe at the end of the year, if we have done a program that's run for 10 to 12 weeks, because that's what we normally do. Just Anup, right? We were our school in Bombay was one of the participants in the largest beach cleanup programs in the world with Afrosha. So you maybe heard about it or read about it. The Warsaw beach was piles and piles of plastic. And by the end of 3 years, I think it took them almost 3 years to bring it down to a certain level of process. That could be measured. When we do a program, we run a program for about 18 to 19 weeks through the academic year. And at the end of the academic session, we try to compile that data and put together. It could be work that the students have done. It could be plastic that they have possibly collected. It could also be through a process of quiz or through a process of question and answer Q&A session that they have at the end when they culminate the program to see where our students stand. Rightly said, we'll have to find more ways than making it a very assessment tool, but rather make it an interesting tool. However, whatever said and done, if you can't measure it, you cannot improve it. So we're still working on the Oceans Are Us project, where we'll have to work on how does it, number one, get integrated, and then a measure where we reach after we integrate that into our curriculum.
Catherine, would you like to share, how you would evaluate the effectiveness of any of your activities?
Yeah, so our programs are a very short dose, just being 2 days long for our Ocean Guardians workshops. And we measure knowledge retention based on a pre and post survey. So we'll ask the kids a specific set of questions at the beginning, and they do the survey. And then again, at the end of the workshop, they fill out a different survey. And we are currently under an evaluation with a university in America, and they are processing all of these surveys for us to, I suppose, scientifically figure out our impact. And we also run 3-month out post surveys to see if not just that immediate 2-day knowledge retention, but a 3-month knowledge retention.
Ivona, would you like to, do you have any way of measuring this at all?
Yeah, well, it's the same as Catherine explained, post and pre and post surveys, or if it's in collaboration with the formal education, then there is always the evaluation at the end of the year or at the end of the semester. So yeah, I have nothing more to add. Thank you.
Yeah, I think there's some things that can be compiled empirically, but I wonder how you chart behavioral changes over a period, because that doesn't happen pre and post survey. I mean, that happens after several years, you know, so maybe there should probably could be some sort of a voluntary, you know, by the children. They might say, yeah, I'm okay to be part of something that can sort of chart my behavior over, you know, 3 years or something like that, basically, you know. That's my just little 2-bit contribution there. Anybody else? Yes, please go ahead.
Hello. Mine isn't a question, it's more of a suggestion that I wanted to run through you. Since this group of panelists isn't, I don't believe you watch as much YouTube or consume as much social media as us youngsters do. So there was an event a year and a half ago called #TeamSeize. I do not know if any of you know it. Yes, so they were able to raise collectively from 500,000 donations over $30 million for every dollar equating to 1 pound of trash removed from the ocean. So #TeamSeize, it was an initiative run by Jimmy Donaldson and Mr. Beast. Yeah. So that's very interesting to me, because his audience is much younger, and he has an awesome grasp on getting because children have stupidly low retention. So he has an awesome grasp on holding their attention and somehow making his content both interesting as well as informative, and teaching the younger generation something very informative and that they should use. So I just wanted to ask you, have you ever thought of going down the same avenue of teaching children, because those ideas about escape rooms were out of the box, and nothing could compare to an actual experience, like Catherine said, of being in an ocean and learning about it. But if that's not possible, would this be a possible way that children could learn through content that they enjoy, so not straight in curriculum and it being inculcated in their studies, because that bores people? So I'm so sorry. I love what you do, so I just
Did you, I have a question for you. When you close your eyes, did you feel the ocean? Where do you live?
Yes, I love that experience.
And where do you live?
I live in Delhi. I want to live in Andaman and Nicobar. That's where we went for vacation, and the ocean was spectacular. I loved it.
Thank you.
You know what Jane said. Sorry, go ahead. Please go ahead.
I think what the point he is making is absolutely relevant, because you have to stay relevant. And if you are looking at how knowledge is consumed, absorbed, and translated, it's very different to us, how we did it. Teacher said was the gold standard. Mom ne bol diya to nahi, but if the teacher says that was the truth, right? And things have changed now. The younger generation does ask you a lot of questions, and the trick here, and probably you could answer this better, is what makes it tick, right? This is whatever example you gave. I can tell you there would be several such other examples which haven't ticked. What do you think ticks and what do you think does not tick?
Actually, a very interesting and it had to be a foregone question that had to come from a young person like that. And rightly pointed out, if we are to do something that's going to help things remain in the heads of young people, because it's a very cliched statement, let's leave a better world for the next generation. We've been hearing it for generations now. And not surprising, there is something that's not going right. Otherwise, Delhi will not be the most polluted city in the world even today. Out of the 20 most polluted cities in this world, 3 are from this country. There is 9 are from this. I'm talking about top 20. There's something seriously wrong, and it's a matter of very deep. We need to really question ourselves for what we are not. I mean, not just what we're talking right now about it, but ocean pollution, of course. Everything that's got connected to a marine scientist who dabbles in those research and stuff like that. I can only say that if there is anything that can be done in a way which instills in young people the reason to possibly stick on or hang on to things that we are talking about, then we may have to be more, we may have to think about more options and ways like what you suggested. That's something I'm going to take back and figure out what we can do with our students in our schools. Thank you for that input.
Yeah, so what you said just now is about knowledge is there, right? Like you are just not interested if we tell you, okay, this is the percentage, these are the pollutants, but you're interested if I ask you, would you like to be engaged with us in some activity, right? So that is what we are doing. With this program, we plan to create a hope box because Jane is all about hope. And this hope box is a resource box which will contain resources, a beautiful handbook, which talks about why oceans are us. And it will have various activity packs, which will engage students, young kids, so that they can actively participate in action projects, which talks about ocean. Thank you. Yes.
Hello. Actually, oceans are getting polluted by the wastes of cities. Our municipalities can stop that. They can treat all these waters going in the ocean. And it is a duty of municipalities. So people can force them. Instead of doing action, their action may just control the municipalities. You have to do that. You do that. Government had to not waste any money on that. But municipality had to. They are taking money or taxes from people. It is their responsibility to stop putting garbage or polluted water in the sea. So first people go there and just make them down the municipalities. They treat it. Otherwise, nobody will spare you. That is first step should be like that.
Okay. Thank you for your suggestion. Yeah.
I want to say something to this young man here. First of all, Jane mentioned in her address this morning that whatever you do, you need to bring young people to the table. And I think it's essential when we are planning something for young people to try and get the input from young people, because I mean, they're, as you say, the consumers of what we are doing. There are two things in it. I think that there's got to be a bridge between generations. We'd love to know how and why you take in information. But I also would like to warn you about being just all about campaigns. There something becomes a hashtag, everybody's talking about it, it becomes a thing, you move on to the next hashtag. Have you attempted to really understand the issues here? So there's got to be a little combination of both, basically, is my thought. So
here I would like to add on that since morning, people are coming to me and asking questions related with the pollution, about the marine species getting caught in the ghost nets and other such questions. So my answer to each one of them was that these are the problems which we know, but the very first point why oceans are us is here to create the very first step, that is awareness and knowledge about ocean in our country, which is India. And we are here in Delhi, which has a beautiful river, but the condition of river is known to everyone, that is River Yamuna. And how River Yamuna connects to the ocean, which is Bay of Bengal, and how the pollutants, they reach to the Bay of Bengal. But do people in Delhi, like young people like you, are you really aware about ocean, what ocean does to us, what ocean mean to you? The moon is there and the waves are there, the tides are there. And there is whole lot of science of ocean, whole lot of mythology in our country is about ocean. Where is the connection? Somewhere that connection is missed. And that connection which we don't feel at all, living in the landlocked cities or even in the coastal cities. Like my colleagues, they were living all their lives near the ocean, but right now they just found the connection at this particular age in their lives, both Katie and Lubana. It took them. Yeah, so the very first step right now, which we are focusing, is to create that awareness, that knowledge, not education, what the gentleman talked about in the morning. It's about sharing the knowledge with the audience, with the young people and the other people around them. That's the mission at the moment. This is the first step.
Well, and if you go in our epic like that Bhagavad Gita, it mentions how it has been created by the carrot of a king, and 7 times this carrot was just moving on this earth. So 7 sea was created, land and sea, and all seas have different taste of water. The taste of waters of each and every sea are different. Some are sweet, some are just salty, some are like that. You might have understood or read somewhere, or tasted. So, and each and every one has some relation of land, and measurement is there, depth, each and everything. So there is big science in that, and all this continent has been made like that. So it is scientific, typical. That king is, you can go in detail. There is a name of each and every sons. They have divided. Go to this area, this. So it is pura in Bhagavad Gita. You can read that story of that creation of this seas. So of course it may be epics or something, but they have given names and location, and that is Maichi. That's it. So knowing this and treating this ocean, other things. Of course, treatment is what government is doing, that I will treat this, or people we are doing, we can manage that, we are wasting time. Simply we are doing duplicacy of work and wasting our energy. That is our people have to do. That municipality has responsibility, and we can tell them, remind them, you have to do it. Force it. Because they are taking tax. If you will not give tax, your building will be demolished, you know. So you are paying tax, so you have to get work done. First, there is no business of central government to put money on treating rivers. just they have to don't put wastage, garbage, untreated water in any city. It is not job of government, central government or state government to make the treatment plant. It is the municipality has to do that.
Right.
Municipality.
Your
So
local
zero investment.
government.
It is responsibility of person, so they can answer that.
That's right.
Otherwise, nobody is going to answer.
Right.
Central government,
Right,
local
right.
government is answerable.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
government is doing that. I'm cleaning this river, that river. They are making money, making fool to people. So beware.
It is important to,
beware.
I mean, it's important to be politically aware, basically. Absolutely. Thank you. We'll pass the question on to.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the experiences coming from India, France, and South Africa. How are we going to make these programs global programs? Because as was said, oceans don't have frontiers. It's a global problem we are dealing with. How are we going to make that? How do you see that, for example, Shweta, or in France or South Africa, to grow these programs?
This question is for me. I think the very first thing which we all connected with is our love for ocean. Be it Catherine or Ivona and me, Shweta. Three of us are leading this project in our countries, and we all share the same feeling for the ocean. That is our heart connection to the ocean. So what I feel is that is the first stepping stone towards this particular ocean plastic challenge which we are facing. And collaboration is the theme of this conference, and we look forward towards collaboration. In fact, I was connected with I Am Water through their proposal of Oceans for All connection amongst the organization working on ocean literacy program with the children all over the world. This is how Catherine and her organization is taking the lead, creating this global alliance called Oceans for All. Catherine, would you like to add on?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a very important question. How do we plan on making this not just small little units of people trying to make a difference, but a global movement? I Am Water is in the process of launching. We've just piloted it, but we are in the process of launching our Oceans for All Alliance, where we will scale what we do by having organizations with a similar mission and similar goals will come and be trained by I Am Water representatives to run I Am Water's methodology. So we will train individuals in ocean connection workshops so that they can go back to wherever they came from and implement the methodology in their own context, in their own countries. Yeah, that's our goal for making this a global movement.
Yeah, we have on a small level, European level, we also have this alliance, which is Ocean Literacy for All, which is also supported by, there is also UNESCO who is developing the ocean literacy. They have a huge program and they promote it largely and extensively. But I think the answer to your questions is just in the title of this conference, partnerships, connections. I think this is the most important thing, because even if we run different programs, but there are similarities, these little differences, the names, for example, or tiny differences, they are just, my personal opinion is they have to be adapted to different countries, different cultures. So, well, actually, you know, all these different things that are happening everywhere, this is something that is really heartening and encouraging, even if they don't have one name and one, they are already sort of global, I think.
That question is very interesting for me, Patrick, because we are already into partnership with schools in Europe. And I'm going to connect with Catherine very soon. This is the first time I'm seeing her, listening to her, and also with Iona. We are partner schools with 2 Dutch schools in Netherlands. I know, and I know that they're very closely connected to the ocean. At least one school in Middleburg. I'm going to be writing to very soon after this, and also maybe to Catherine as well. One way of moving this forward, of course, is to ensure that everybody is connected for the common cause of working because of the love for oceans. So that's something I'm going to take up soon after this is over. And that'll give a global scale for us to connect with students from across, because we are already into assignments that go on for about 6 months, starting July till the first week of January 2023. So for the next one in 23-24, I'm sure this is going to be one of our projects, Shweta, that we're going to take up. On a national scale, we've collaborated with the Oceans Are Us, and we have 40 schools across the country, right from Gurgaon all the way to Bangalore. So all of Oceans Are Us is a project that's being done in all 40 schools of ours with more than 55,000 students. So it's going to impact so many thousands of families. So as you rightly mentioned, networking and connecting, ensuring that we have a common agenda, a common goal that can be met through our best practices that we can do, which can be followed, whether it's from France or from South Africa or from India.
Yeah, I just want to emphasize one comment you made is when you touch the student, you touch the families, which is a very crucial one in this. Yeah, thank you for that.
I think that one of the ways that this can involve global participation is everybody shares resources about people doing work in different areas that you can plug the students into as citizen scientists, because there might be things you might be interested in doing here in India, and maybe there's somebody working in, wherever, South Africa or France, and we can plug in a student from here in India who can work on one of the projects there, maybe do research for them, collect data for them. So that way, you get a sense that I may work here, but the ocean in Europe is my ocean too, basically, so.
60 countries, and the students, whatever project they take up of JGI, they can exchange, whatever they are doing, student exchange. So this is how we can spread globally.
I think we're about running out of time, because I had someone come and tell me there's going to be a cultural program that everybody's invited to visit, and dinner thereafter. Is there any other question? Catherine, we will miss you at the cultural program and dinner.
Enjoy. It sounds wonderful.
South Africa. Is there anyone who still has a very pressing question? No? Okay. Well, thank you very much for everybody being here. Thank you for all the knowledge sharing. Sorry? Yes. And before we leave, the song? This is the song that we energize all our children with.
Is it really over? The echoes just seem to get longer. How did we get here? There was so much love in us, and all I have left is my fate that I can change. This burn, I can't watch this burn to the ground. You'd have thought we'd learned, you'd have thought we'd learned by now. I can hear the whole world singing together. picking up the pieces. I listen out for beating hearts. Now it's time for healing. The sun will rise, but this time it's so bright. And all I have left is my faith that we could change. Cause I can't watch us lose, I can't watch us lose what we found. You'd have thought we'd learned, you'd have thought we'd learned by now. I can hear the whole world singing together. I can hear the whole world say it's now or never. 'Cause it's not too late if we change our ways and connect the dots to our problems. I can hear the whole world say we're in this together, we're in this together. Oh, I can hear the whole world singing together. And I can hear the whole world say it's now or never. 'Cause it's not too late if we change our ways and connect the dots to our problems. I can hear the whole world say we're in this together, we're in this together.
I know we are all in this together, like Jane says, right? Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
I think
all.
it's fitting that we ended a session in Tansen with something so uplifting. Tansen, for those who don't know, was one of our premier historical musicians, and his music could make the rain come down. So here's to water. And from the point of view of the oceans, I just want to say, apna time aayega. So thank you all for being here. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.